And the stream is up. Let's wait for chat. There we go. Okay. I am later than I expected to be. 'Twas playing some Dominion and signed up for one too many ladder games. No clue where to get turtles. I assume fishing. Okay. So, what we want is this setup of sorts. What is the Black Plague collab take? I believe it's Ian Curse and Owl Knife. Yeah, okay. So we can still take that and the Mikorone. So in the armory, we want Lava Bucket, Potato, Ian Curse, and Owl. We need Glow Stick and Whammy Water. We want Sake turned on and this turned off. This is 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then the 6th weapon being no, we only get 5 weapons. So we have Fan Beam, so this no. Okay. We have Mikorone, the Super Collab, Absolute Wall, Black Plague, and then the last one is just a flex slot. I don't like the Fan Beam as the flex slot. This could be a fine one. I guess I'm happy with that. Okay. Make sure I can actually see chat. Okay, and lava bucket, I guess. Yeah. Okay, so we get the lava bucket maxed out, we pick up this rainbow, and then we need the X potato. Okay. Oh, the game crashed. Okay. It doesn't save, does it? No. Okay, so we get to try again. Okay, the next support item has to be sake. Oh, there we go. Welcome back, Ember. Go on full DPS. This is a test of the alternative build with Black Plague. And then I'm also trying out, trying to manipulate how full my slots are so I can get more stat levels and upgrade everything through anvils rather than leveling up. But in general, I think DPS is... I don't know if it's more important than speed, because I died before the 40-minute mark on the last test, and that's because I had a lot less speed than what I wanted. I think if I can get to like around 600 speed, that would be a good number to hit. And then this is the second attempt because the first one crashed when I tried to make my first collab. I hope that does not happen again. Piggy bank can give you speed, the more coin, but leaves pickup range. Okay. I mean, I haven't seen it in any of the leaderboards, so I just haven't tested it out. And the question is, like, which one of these items do we take out? The easiest one to take out is the Raven Feather, because it's just one revive and an attack buff. But when we get to hardcore, I might be taking it out for the body pillow, which is like, it's just armor, which is really important when you have 1 HP. But maybe if you get good enough, and that's just like, you don't need the armor. No, the card is so important. Just getting more anvils, like, I guess you could do the math on, like, maybe you get too many anvils, but, like, I've done normal runs without the card, and you get maybe, what is it? I mean, it says anvils appear twice as often, so you get half as many anvils. It's like minus 40 levels or something. Okay, the game didn't crash, so that's good. The worst thing about the game crashing is that there's no save, so it dies and you just have to restart the run. Just gotta survive for 2 more levels. Okay, we should get the golden hammer eventually, sometime soon. And once we get the super collab online, I should be safe. Okay, I'm not as safe as I thought I would be. Good. Size. Although, I think I should roll for enchantments at the end, because I need to maximize levels. Item levels off the blacksmith, or the anvil. Yes, we're gonna go for double size and it will be the greatest wall. That was a stamp drop, not an anvil drop. Yeah, looks like it. There we go. Let's see how big this wall is. Okay, so it doesn't increase the diameter, it increases the size of the walls. So I'm not sure if that's actually useful, but maybe it is. Okay, the items we want to pick up next are EN Curse and Owl Blade. Let's go ahead and start that up. Okay, here's the debuff flower. That's another one we want. Okay, the stamps were slow down, debuff, and what's the last stamp we're going for? If we like damage, the unit stamp is good. I didn't enchant them. That's fine. How does this classify as a melee weapon? Whatever. Let's see how much insane lag this Black Plague induces when we get to the Yagus. And only gets one enchantment. Maybe I can put a second one on there? No? Okay, so lesson learned, please enchant before you go and make a collab. swap after this. I think the three contenders for the stamp are the speed stamp, the pacifist stamp, the chance to stun enemies, and the unit stamp for just 8% damage. Okay, item is maxed. Projectiles will start coming in at any moment. Okay, now that that's done, we can get all these stamps cleared up. So, you're an option. Option. honestly don't know if the crowbar is a viable option, but we're upgrading it anyways. And then we have the speed one. When this one is used by the first player, I don't understand what its purpose is. Maybe it just generates lag. And I need to learn how to dodge that. I don't exactly understand what's going on. Maybe just a well-timed dash. More damage from base weapon, I guess. I wonder if that explosion were other debuff stamps. Yeah, like if it's just an extra hit, does that increase the chance of the slow stamp activating? Maybe. But that's like, I think that's an impossible thing to test, to see if that actually works. Okay, we've got a couple minutes of time to decide. I think I don't want the knockback one. We have the wall already. I think additional knockback isn't going to help anything. I think we'll keep the speed one sitting around in case I don't get as much speed as I think I want. This one is 30% chance to stun. We already have the freeze. I think we can skip on this one. That's down to speed, unit, and that one. So do we want more speed, more damage, or potentially more debuff and slow triggers? mean, I could switch to speed later when I'm just running, but I don't know if I'll be anywhere close to the stamp to actually do that. I have to stay in generally the same area in order to pick up the stamp. And I haven't been able to do that with even basic strafing. Okay, now that these guys are out, it is time to decide, or at least get rid of this. Let me see if the wiki has anything to say on it. Bomb stamp. Bomb Stamp can only trigger once per projectile. Bomb Stamp explosion inherits the weapon's enhancements, knockbacks on hit effects, and critical modifier. Enemies hit by explosions will also proc the Greed Stamp when equipped. Okay. So it looks like it does work with the other things, so this is just more triggers for the other two. So this is eventually 30% more effect on these. Looks like plus 3% chance to slow enemies. I don't know, how much is 3% versus speed? I think I prefer speed. So let's go ahead and pick up this unit badge. Damage, and then we'll swap to speed at the 30-minute mark. Okay, yeah, it's 30 plus 3% chance on everything that it hits. So I guess it's effectively doubling it, I think, when you do all the math. Okay, no, that does sound pretty convincing, doubling the effectiveness of my other stamps. We shall try it next time. even 400% speed. This is not looking good. I'm not sure how much I'm liking the snow lily over the holy fire. Okay, let's move over here. Looks fine enough. Okay, 499% speed is what we're working with when we start. So let's see how far this will go. I think last time we made it to like just over 37 minutes. There's a place that doesn't have a big fence in it. Here we go. And immediately another anvil drops. Great. I don't really want to be working on picking these up. Okay, I'm thinking this is generally more consistently laggy with the Black Plague. And I think it generally competes on par with Eldritch Horde in terms of AoE, so I think that's a good pickup to swap into. Yeah, but I don't want to use the dash just to get to an anvil. I want to use it to get out of a rough situation. Like that I think would have been a good candidate, like when it's just not laggy and a wave comes in that is going to be hard to knock back. Or if I get stuck there. Okay. And it's not like the anvils are super important here anyways, because the chances of getting an upgrade are pretty small. Okay, they're definitely starting to catch up now. Okay, 34 minutes. There goes the big attack buff. Only level 160. I don't see much point in running. This isn't going to be the run that makes it to the top anyways. You really do need a good RNG run. Good RNG on the stat levels to get a bunch of speed. That is still way more important than attack. Yeah. One brick away from getting my shield back. Yeah, so I definitely like the Holy Fire. Now here's a question. Is the debuff flower better than stun alongside the bomb? Like, these two scores are very similar. It's just a difference in support. And the question is like, okay, is it this one just has the better support? Or is this player just more skilled? Let's go ahead and what does the piggy bank do? Gain 1 coin for every 100 pixels traveled and increase speed by 20%. And I think if I really needed speed, the energy drink is just going to be better. 40% speed, 10% haste. Okay, so collabs, we have Mikrone, Absolute Wall, Black Plague, and Holy Fire. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then Whammy Water as the final weapon. Okay, so we don't need to change anything there. Let's go ahead and just change the build and test that. And then I also... Sure, why not? We'll bring this as well. Is there other outfits? No, it's just the two. Okay. You know what? I think we're close enough that it might be more productive to turn on hardcore. And that means we also need to go into the armory and swap those out. You made a pun in chat, but I haven't noticed. Does it make to the top with your stories there? I'm not sure. Does my channel name count as a pun? What is a pun definition? Pun is a playful joke with words that uses a word's multiple meanings or sounds like another word. Ah, time to raw away. Oh, that was short. Okay. I have a question. Is there anything you want to learn? Help with your attention span. Okay, this body pillow is very effective. I do like it. I don't exactly like that it activates regardless of whether I have my shield up or not. Like, my concern is, like, it says it has 15 HP. That's not a big number, but I don't know, since there's no damage numbers ever on screen, how effective is 15 HP. Because all I know is that by the time you get to 37 minutes or so, the Yagurus are doing like 150 damage. So this body pillow is like, it helps you get through the early part, but it doesn't help you last a long time later. I don't like where I'm at. Okay, good. I mean, I'd have to look up what the super upgrade does, but all the super upgrades for the support items, you just have to get lucky. They come from a box from defeating a boss. And you don't get to choose, it's just, you got a super credit card maybe. And I think probably the best one you would hope for is the super chicken feather, because that gives +2 revives. Okay, what do we need? Bouncing ball. What I need is to pick up that golden anvil. First, I need to enchant this. Okay. Well, there we go. Okay, this is going to be tough. I think if I just prioritize getting Dragonfire early, then I won't have to deal with this problem of strafing everything all the time. And then after that, we can look at getting level manipulations. Okay. There is not enough time for another full run. So let's do some fishing and just chat for about 20 minutes. What in the world to talk about? Let's see. Yesterday, I listened to a podcast called That's Absurd, Let's Please Elaborate, and they talked about 4 things. What would the human body look like if all your muscles were reversed? So instead of how a muscle works is you get an electrical signal and it pulls on both ends, kind of like a rope. It makes it taut, which is kind of interesting that works exactly the opposite of what we do with robotics. Is we like hydraulics a lot. You use pistons to push things, and that pushing motion gets stuff to move, rather than a pulling motion that we use in our muscles. The decided conclusion was that basically your body would just be built backwards. I'm not necessarily sure I agree with that. I think the most interesting thing that came up to me is they mentioned birds, is they would have to have muscles to pull their wings down. No, to push their wings up rather than pull them down to get lift. Which, when you think about that, in their resting state, therefore, their wings would always be up and out. Like they'd just be held naturally up as if your hands were raised in the absolute cinema pose 24/7. That would be your resting state. Which I think, from an evolutionary perspective, isn't that great, to always have yourself in a state where you're stretched out. And maybe that's part of the reason we have the muscles the way we do, versus just that's how it evolved first in fish, and so that's the way it is. Another topic they talked about is how cats view us, and dogs by extension, but it was specifically about cats, so it was a more focus on that. Yeah, being more compact certainly also helps you maintain body heat. I was thinking more from a predatory angle, where it's like, okay, if my wings are always stretched out, I'm easier to see. There's lots of extra hooks, so to speak, around me that something could grab onto. And it depends on the climate. Like if you're in a desert, maybe it's good to be more stretched out because that's more surface area for you to vent energy from. For the pets, they had to make a lot of clarifiers. It's like, okay, pet owners, don't get angry at us because the scientists don't like you, or they find you difficult to work with is the better word, because humans love to anthropomorphize and personify things, and so they look at their pet and it does something and they say, oh, that must be this human thing that they do. But a lot of the science says that, like, pet owners will say that their cat gets jealous, but based off of the size of their brain, we can't prove that they don't get jealous, but it seems like it's too complex of an emotion for them to have. They can be sad and they can be angry, and those can express in ways that are kind of like jealousy, but a lot of the survey results that pet owners submit to try to learn from observation of pets is mostly hard to sift through because the owners are projecting. Despite that, we do know that the pets, like, they don't have Stockholm Syndrome. They do actually love you. We can, specifically with cats, we can look at, oh, they rub their head against you. Why do they do that? That's because they have scent glands around their ears, and they headbutt other cats to say, I like this cat. And so when they headbutt your leg, they say, I like you. So we can observe from the fact that they interact with each other the same way that they interact with humans, that they generally view humans as essentially just big cats. Which is, I don't know if interesting is the right word, but there's the concept of, like, putting mirrors in front of dolphins and be like, does a dolphin recognize that it is the dolphin in the mirror? And a cat will see a human and be like, that's a very different shape from a cat, but they treat us the same. It's hard to say how much does the cat able to conceive of us being... Like, would the cat be able to conceive of us being smarter than it? I don't know. What were the other topics they talked about? So someone asked the question, this was another topic in the podcast, what would happen if you could hold your pee for a year? Oh, a dining table. And the answerer looked around at biology and said, okay, what sorts of animals don't have to urinate very often? And the winner, just to skip straight to it, is bears during hibernation. Like, they just sit in the cave for months and they don't eat, they don't eat and they don't drink, which is part of it, but the reason you need to pee is because you have nitrogen in your body, and that goes to the liver, and the liver converts that nitrogen into necessary parts that we need, and also very toxic parts that we need to get rid of. And so that toxin then gets sent to the kidneys, and the kidneys process it, and then the less toxic materials go to your bladder and then get washed away with water. And so even though the bear isn't moving, it still has nitrogen in its body. It's producing these things. So why does it not need to pee? And the answer is that somewhere in its body it has microbes that can deal with the toxins rather than having to send them to the kidneys. And it produces sort of a cyclical loop where the nitrogen is just recycled rather than needing to be getting rid of. So there's no necessary waste product that way. And so theoretically, this is a process that could be run while you're not hibernating. It could just be a natural part of your body that doesn't need necessarily the kidneys to filter blood. And once they got to that solution, they said, okay, what sort of societal changes would this actually have, though, if people only needed to pee once a year? You'd go to the mall and there would be a bathroom in this massive 5 Olympic swimming pool sized floors, just in case somebody forgot that it was the one day of the year that they needed to pee. Oh, and the big change is there are still other toxins in your body that you need to get rid of other than what's produced with nitrogen. There's lots of salts running around your body, and that usually we get rid of those through sweat. And so the monkey's paw is, congratulations, you only need to pee once a year, but you are constantly sweating. We practically turn into frogs. And I cannot remember for the life of me what the fourth topic was. I can remember a topic from earlier about lucid dreaming, which is, it was less about how to lucid dream and more about people do lucid dream. What scientific studies have we done around that? Some interesting things that were learned from one of the first researchers of lucid dreaming, who basically did self-experimentation. Was some lord in the medieval period, I think, who realized, oh, I lucid dream, that's not something that normally happens, and started experimenting with things. An interesting finding is that, the first interesting finding was realizing that all the people in your dreams are people you know. A lot of oral traditions are like dreams you get visited by the gods or ancient spirits that tell you things, but all the people in your dreams are just people you know. I do wonder if you can get fictional characters into dreams, where it's like, it's not a person you physically know, but it's like, I've interacted with, or I like this character from this anime, or I've like done cosplay or whatever. Can you get that into a dream? I don't know. Could you get, if you have a painting of someone, this is something that he did, is there was a painting of someone on his wall, and he was able to get them to appear in his dream. I don't know if that was a person he knew. Yeah, could you make up an actual figment of your imagination show up in your dream? That would be something to test. The other interesting thing is how your dream protects you. The noble, out of curiosity, said, okay, what happens if I die in my dream? And so did things like, okay, we're going to jump out of a tower, we're going to get run over by a horse-drawn carriage. And the really interesting thing is that it just kind of blurs, and then he's another person in the dream. It was like he jumps out of a tower, and then he's just on the ground looking at a body, and the dream is like, yeah, this guy just fell out of a tower. It's like you jump cut to a different perspective in it, like in an anime or a show. Which was sort of related to when movies were first being made. There was a big discussion over the first jump cut in a movie because they thought, well, when we first made motion picture and we made a video of a train approaching a station, people freaked out because they thought the train was coming right for them, not understanding what the bounds of the camera was yet. And so if we just jump and move from one place to another, are people going to freak out? But it turns out that everyone was completely fine because they've already been accustomed to the jump cut. That's what happens in your dreams. You don't say in a dream, oh, let's walk to the coffee shop, and then you walk to the coffee shop and nothing happens in your dream for several minutes. No, you just show up at the coffee shop. So that was an interesting discovery, that people are just used to, that you can get used to things in your dream, and that can make you used to things in real life. Which was kind of similar to some of the studies they did. Is you can hear while you're sleeping, and so a lot of the ways that they communicated with lucid dreamers is they would play a tone that would remind the dreamer, you are dreaming, here's a question, there's like basic math question, and then answer it by wiggling your eyes, because when you move your eyes, they match you physically move your eyes in your dream and in real life. And so it's like, what is 4 plus 3? And then they wiggle their eyes back and forth 7 times. Assuming it worked. Which I think it worked around 30% of the time they got a response. And then there's different breakdowns in there of whether they got the answer right or wrong. And then they moved on from asking math questions to giving instructions like, in your dream, please do 10 push-ups. And what they were testing with this is the time dilation within dreams. Like, if you feel like you can dream a lifetime in an hour, that's often a thing that people say. But the things that they found out are that it's actually rather similar. It takes roughly the same amount of time to dream doing 10 push-ups as it does in real life. No, it actually takes longer to do physical activities in dreams than it does in real life. And it takes roughly the same amount of time to, say, count to 100 as it does in real life. And so probably why your dreams move faster is just because of jump cutting. It's cutting out all the boring bits. And you're probably just having very truncated experiences. Or like you can feel like you've lived a long time because in your dream you started at the beginning of university and the dream ended at the end of university. And so, as far as your dream self is concerned, you went through university, even though that could have been 20 seconds. Just like a training montage in your dream would feel really long. And I think another part of it might just be like you're not paying attention to how much time passes in the dream and you're not noticing all these weird sorts of things. Like, I had a dream where I went out to the car and I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna start floating. And so my feet stopped moving and I just kept moving in the dream, and I was like, that's a normal thing for a dream. You don't notice the absolute deconstruction of physics. And no, I still can't remember that fourth topic that I listened to yesterday, which is so weird. Alongside this lucid dreaming episode, I decided to start keeping a dream journal because lucid dreaming sounds fun. Being able to go into a dream and be like, okay, let's control something and notice what I'm doing. And a big part of that is dream journaling. You wake up, you write down what you remember from your dream. Which is important because usually you wake up and you might remember your dream after you wake up for a couple minutes, but like 3 minutes go by and you don't remember anything because, I mean, at that point when you're awake and you enter reality, your brain recognizes, oh, this weird physics time thing that happened that I imagined isn't real. That's not a necessary memory to keep around most of the time, and so you just forget it. I believe the term is called whitewashing. And so part of keeping it what a dream journal does is it helps train your brain to say, okay, I do want to remember this stuff, so that when I am in a dream, I'm better prepared to recognize, oh, I dream about Ferris wheels a lot. There's a Ferris wheel. I don't remember planning to go to an amusement park. Maybe this is a dream. Do a reality check, sort of thing. And keeping this dream journal, I'm able to remember just in my memory every day, the dreams are no longer being whitewashed. I don't know what to do with that information. I assume that's a good thing. But it is a bit weird to just be making memories out of things that didn't happen. And it's only been a week. We'll have to see how it goes. It might be that come a week, the only way I'll be able to remember vividly what happened is if I look at the dream journal for most of these. Although there are always some dreams that you remember that are very, like, you can remember a weird fragment of, I was in a supermarket. And like, nothing else, I just remember that there was a dream where I was in a supermarket. Okay. Anyways, it is unfortunately that time of day. Yeah, and sometimes you have a repeat dream, you're like, I'm pretty sure I've had this dream before. Where I was like, okay, this is a dream where I'm in an RPG and I need to go down the right tunnel to get to the boss room. Wait, how did I know that Oh, I've had this dream before and the boss is a big pineapple that shoots grapes. And that's part of what keeping the dream journal does, is like, oh, if there are recurring elements where it's like, oh, I've been to this supermarket before in my dream. Or general patterns where it's like, I notice that when I go into dreams and I enter a closet, I end up getting teleported. If you can just keep track of those things in your mind and know that when they happen in your dream, that can help a lot with recognizing what's happening. Anyways, it is time for me to start heading out for work. So I have to end the stream, unfortunately. I will be back next Tuesday. I need to take the weekend off to start working on writing projects that have been left unattended for far too long. So, thank you for watching, and until next time, get a slice of your own life.